Hey, una vez más, bienvenidos al podcast Acá Entre Us o Acá Entre Nos. Estamos hablando en inglés, en español, en Spanglish. Vamos a hablar de la vida, los fracasos, los triunfos, las buenas cosas, las malas cosas, las oraciones que Dios ha contestado, las oraciones que Dios no ha contestado. Y hoy está conmigo uno de mis buenos amigos, Ricky Funez. What's up, bro?
¿Cómo estamos? Everything good?
Bienvenido, bro.
Are we Spanglish or
We're Spanglish, bro.
Are we doing hablo puro español?
Como tú quieras,
No, si
bro.
hablo español me voy a quedar todo tartamudo.
Como
mi
quieras, bro.
mamá.
Inglés, español, Spanglish, portañol.
We could speak English or Spanish. It's up to you.
Yeah, bro.
I'll Spanglish it.
Whatever, however it flows, however you feel
Perfect,
comfortable,
perfect. Yeah,
bro.
man, how you doing?
And we got Chico here. So, Chico, show your face.
Chico, up.
There
That's
you
my
go.
my baby. Thank you for having me on your show, Mario.
Yeah,
Excited.
bro. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you. Now,
Bro, we're going to talk about... Siéntate, Chico.
I know. Chico, down. See, you woke up. There you go. Good boy. Good boy. Talk to me, Mario.
Bro, we're going to talk about life, bro.
Let's do it, man.
We've known each other for 20-some years already.
Yeah, 2000. Yeah, it's going to be 20 years, Mario.
Yeah,
2003.
bro. 20 years.
20 years.
Wow. I saw you start your boxing career, but we'll talk about that
well,
later.
Yeah.
But bro, tell us where you're from, where were you born, how was your upbringing, a little bit about that, bro. Let's just talk about life.
Perfect. I'm originally from Honduras, Central America. I'm from the capital, Tegucigalpa, and my dad brought me here, and my sister and my mom when we were 7 years old. Came here to the city of Van Nuys, man, and this is where everything. And I always have the same story to tell people because I guess it's a little small pattern, you know. But
yeah.
This is where Van Nuys changed my whole life. I went to Van Nuys Elementary, Van Nuys Junior High, Van Nuys High School.
So you came when you were 7, and you've been in Van Nuys
I've been
your
in
whole
Van Nuys
life,
my whole
pretty
life.
much.
Been in my life, and then my parents for a bit they moved to Panorama City. We lived on Langdon. It was a rough neighborhood at that time. But then we moved back to Van Nuys back in 1988. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then from there on, everything started going forward.
How was your upbringing? Like, so your mom and your dad were together. How was
Look, my parents raised us well.
Yeah.
I had both of my parents in my life at that time. My mom and my dad, very disciplined and good parents, like you know, a lot of Latinos. And me hanging around in the neighborhood with the friends, just decided to change my life route into becoming a gangbanger and being in the streets with my friends, you know.
What gang were you in?
I grew up in Van Nuys, called Barrio Van Nuys.
Yeah.
They call it BVN or whatever you want to call it.
How old are you?
I was in elementary when I started hanging around with all those friends.
For real.
But then when I started hanging out, really doing the thing, was at 12 years old, 13 years old. And when I was 13 years old, I really got my first tattoo. And it was so funny because at that time, I saw a lot of friends say, mi querida madre. You know, I wrote it on my chest, my querida madre reina. And one day I was cool, I was riding the bike. And I had a tank top trying to show it off, you know, to different people. But somehow my mom saw it. She goes, what is that? She tried to rip it off. Oh, she gave me the beating of my life that day. Oh, man. Gave me the beating of my life. For trying to... I go, Mom, it's you. It's Reina Funez. I go, right here, Regina.
Todavía te acuerdas?
Oh, I still remember, man. My mom, I love my mom. My mom's still with me to this day, thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, she, remember she gave me a beating.
So you were 12.
I was 12.
And you sort of started hanging out.
And then I started hanging out with my friends, you know. My thing was at that time stealing pullouts, the radios from cars. There were first were the pullouts, and then there was the face, and it just became a habit of being a knucklehead kid, you know, with my friends. I wanted to prove that I was cool and badass, but I had great parents.
Yeah.
You know, my mom and my dad grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
But
so there was faith in your household.
Oh, always, yeah. I had faith, but then we had a neighbor. We had a neighbor that was a Christian, and I still remember to this day. Her name is Christina, and she's still a family friend to this day. And she would take us to her church with my mom, and my mom to this day she still goes with them, even though I think my mom still have those beliefs. as like worshiping the Virgin Mary and all that, which I always tell mom that's because I learned that worshiping a false idol is wrong.
All right. We worship Jesus.
Yeah, we worship Jesus, but my mom is like, no, but at least she's still going there. And
Sure,
it's like anything. I'm a backslider. I was a Catholic myself, and I used to worship the Virgin Mary. I used to have statues in my bedroom at the age of 12 to the age I was probably 16. But I still would go to Christian churches,
Yeah.
And until I met my wife Tina at that time, I would bring her to Catholic, but she grew up Christian.
Yeah.
You know Tina.
Yeah,
so,
I know Tina. Yeah.
So her mom grew up, and she was really, her family was really religious.
Yeah.
They wear the
velo
and the
long
skirts with parches and everything. But where I started reading the Bible was when I hit prison my first time.
How old were you? So, all right, so 12 years old, you get your first tattoo, you start hanging out with
Starting hanging around with friends. The stories that I'm giving you right now is gonna be broken into future, mid, and past.
So you're stealing car radios.
Stealing radios. The first time I ever went to jail was just a stupid thing. At that time, it was on Hazeltine and Riverside.
Sherman Oaks.
Yeah, Sherman Oaks. It was called the Broadway. Is it Broadway? Yeah. Is it Broadway?
I don't know. What is it?
The Macy's. I mean, Blooming. There's Blooming. There's now, but at that time it was Broadway. So, anyways, I was outside. I was just tagging on by the bus stop, small. And
Broadway or make company?
No, Broadway.
Okay.
Yeah, Broadway. I think it's Broadway. I forget Broadway. But I was tagging, and then the cops came and can you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because he keeps going down. Is that I'm selling all here, Mario? You guys edited and all that too, right?
You're good, bro.
Okay. Oh, so I'm there chilling, and the undercover cops, they come and they freaking take me in.
So you're tagging.
I'm tagging.
How old are you?
I was already that time 13 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, 13 still.
And you went to jail.
Yeah, 13. They took me to the station, and my mama had to come and get me out, and she gave me a whooping. I whooped my ass again too. It's like I was a trouble kid, man, and they just. That's the first time they ever put my fingerprints into the system.
So you were in the system.
And that was in the system already, and for stupid stuff, man.
Yeah.
After that, man, that was the basically. And yeah, and then I went to jail years later. Now going to the future, that's where I started reading the Bible.
In jail.
In jail.
How did faith start impacting your life?
Well, I think every kid has. Probably at my age, or that everybody believes in God, but the difference is believing in God and having a relationship with God. I later on started believing more deeply in my faith, believing that Jesus, because I always say, man, if I die, I would say when I'm gonna accept Christ when I almost close to my deathbed, or when I get in a car accident, I'm gonna ask him for forgiveness. And that's what a lot of people believe, that. And then I started listening to a message from some pastor, and it says, you want to accept Christ now. You don't want to do it because you don't know if you're going to die.
Right.
So it started getting a little bit more deeper, and then I started asking questions myself, why, when I would go to Catholic church with my mom, why doesn't nobody carry a Bible? And we will be listening to the priest, and it sometimes didn't make no sense. It's like, he's mumbling or babbling about so much stuff that
in
didn't
Latin
make
too.
Huh?
And they mumble in Latin. You don't understand
and it didn't make sense to me at all. Then I just little by little I just started drifting away from there, and I started reading the Bible. I didn't get too deep into it, but I would read verses here, verses there, and I consider myself a Christian at that time.
Yeah.
Till years later, in 2003, where I met you, that's where I really started focusing. And I believe that was really doing good for almost four years.
Yeah.
I could consider myself, think I was being faithful to God, because when I was younger, I was a womanizer.
Mm-hmm.
Right when I got with my wife Tina, I was a cheater, and I did the things that a husband shouldn't have done,
Mm-hmm.
And I mistreated Tina. I was not there. I was on the streets. I was in and out of jail. But yeah, stuff like that just basically, I look now back, I go, man, what kind of jerk, what kind of person I am, you know? And when I hit church in the way, and that's changed my life, because I met you, I met Luigi, I met Jeff, and a lot of Pastor Jim Toe was, you know, kind of like a mentor, watching him and the way because when I was coming to here, because I still remember the pastors that were here, but Jim Toe is the one that brightened up the whole room because the way he would preach. And it's like, oh man, this time
it connected.
Oh, you connect. It's like, okay, don't stop, man, just keep going. But then sometimes I would hear Pastor Fernando's like, I will fall asleep. It's like, okay, man, let's go come next service, you know. But you know, some pastors have that don. Los pastores tienen ese don que
te conectabas.
Te conectas con ellos y no te dejan, ¿cómo se dice? No te duermes, porque hay pastores que te puedes dormir. You fall asleep, it's like, and that's what caught my attention, to try to be faithful and loyal. But you know, it was weird that I was doing good, because I was a womanizer, right? And I would look at a woman, a beautiful woman, and whatever. And it tests me on, and whatever, you know, God, please give me the strength. Until one day I was working for a fighter. So people know I'm in the boxing business.
That was my next question. So you're very well known in the boxing industry. You were an athlete yourself. You were a boxer. I remember going to your first fight.
That was my first win.
Your first professional fight, you won by knockout.
18 seconds.
First round or second round?
It was first round, 18 seconds.
I remember praying for you in the dressing room.
See, that's what got the win. Yeah, that's what got the win.
Yeah, bro. I remember praying for you, and then I remember I didn't know how to pray for you, bro.
Really? Why?
Because I'm like, man, it's a sport, and it's a fist fight, and I was like, I wonder if I should pray that you should win, but you're gonna hurt the other guy. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know how I should pray for you.
But your prayer came true, because I knocked him out in 18 seconds.
And I do remember praying that God would protect you and protect him. Yeah. Because boxing ain't a game, bro.
It's one of the toughest sports, man.
It's a tough sport.
And very disciplined.
Yeah. So actually, let me go back a little bit. How did you get into boxing? How did that happen?
Oh, that's one of the most popular stories that in my world. Yeah. Because I'm in your world right now, but in my world, the boxing, I was involved in gangs, and I tagged Barrio Van Nuys into the gym. It was Tengu's Boxing. Tengu's Boxing Gym is a very famous boxing gym from a family of 8 brothers and 2 sisters, and their last name is Goosens. So in the early 80s, 1982, they started a promotional company called Tengu's because of the brothers. But at the same time, they had a few boxers that were 10 fighters, and they would throw local fights at the country club, which years later they filmed Boogie Nights, and it became a Korean church, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a church now, but that's how they became very popular, of promoting the likes of Michael Nunn, Gabriel and Rafael Ruelas, the 2 brothers from Jalisco. Yeah, they became world champions. And at that time, this is 1990. 1990, when they had 1989, 1990, they had just barely moved into Friar Street, down the street from my mom's house.
Right by the courthouse.
And one day from junior high, Van Nuys Junior High, we walked Van Nuys Boulevard, and then we hit Friar. For some reason, we went through that street. I don't know why. And I see this big old glass.
You and your homies.
Me and my homies were walking. We see this big glass, and at that time there was subscribers. They were kind of like a diamond-shaped glass, a scriber that you could write on glass or anything, and you just scribe your name in. And I put Daffy. Well, that was my nickname, Daffy, BVN. And like 2 weeks later, we walking by the same thing just to admire my moniker and to look at it. And this big white boy comes out, and I'm like this. He goes, "You Daffy?" And I'm like, "No." No, you know. I was 13 years old. And I go, "No." He goes, "Well, don't lie. There's a guy inside, and you gotta remember that the glass from the inside you could see outside. You've been to the gym and worked out, Mario. It's still there." So it's a funny story. So the mirror It looks like a mirror, but from the inside they could see out, and the guy, yeah, that's him, that's Daffy, and Joe Goosen got stuck with me ever since.
He got caught.
But the funny story now, moving forward, years later, Joe was retiring from boxing because he was gonna go into the movie industry with Adam Sandler and Rob Schneider, and Joe says, Ricky, you want the gym? What big opportunity came into my life? He was gonna sell me the gym, but he ended up giving me the gym.
The place you tagged up now became
my gym.
That's yours.
So now listen to this. So me, I'm happy. The gym is mine. I'm remodeling. I remodeled that gym already like 5 times.
You like remodeling, by the way.
Yeah. I just freaking finished remodeling my house right now. Again. For the 5th time in 5 years, I remodeled my house, Mario, 4 times. Well, going back to Tengu's boxing, I changed the glass, everything. Boom, guess what happens? Somebody comes and attacks my gym. On the window. Some ugly, at least they could have put something that I could read, And, I think karma, or, it just came back and bite me, and I was so mad. Now I know how Joe felt when that happened to me.
You reap what you sow, bro.
You reap what you sow, man.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna tell another quick story on that.
Yeah.
After that, I had a friend of mine. His name is Michael De Lorenzo. He used to be on New York Undercover.
I've seen him at the
remember?
gym. Yeah,
he sold me a BMW at that time. He gave me a BMW, and it's funny that I lived in an apartment on Sepulveda Boulevard. And prior to that, I used to break in people's cars and steal their stuff and all that. I think it's part of the growing part that I did growing up with friends and crimes that I committed, right?
Yeah.
Years later, I had my boxing equipment and everything, and they broke into my car and stole everything. I go, oh, I feel so violated. But I go, you know what? That's what happens for me doing what I did to other people, I hurt other people.
Yeah.
And then I just started trying to do things right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you more stories as we go.
But you're going to tell me more, bro.
I'm going to tell you stuff that I did that I shouldn't have. But then I started, to this day, I have a lot of beliefs of what Christ would want me to do.
So God has been teaching you lessons throughout.
To this day, let me give you an example. About probably it's gonna be over 6 years ago. I used to have a bad habit. I always carry money with me. I always have money on my pocket, and not to brag or anything like that, but I always carry money on me, and I had a bad habit of stealing. So what I would do is I would go to the Target, or I would go to Home Depot, and I'll fill up the cart, stuff that I wanted for my house. And I will walk out with the stuff. And I always say, I never got caught, thank God. But if I would say get caught, I would say, oh, shoot, how, man? I got it, let's go pay for it. But that was my bad habit. And then, you know what? I asked God to take that away from me, and I pray. Sometimes I pay for my stuff now, Mario, because that was so easy for me to steal. It was an adrenaline rush. And I did it just to do it. And I pray to God, and God helped me overcome that. Because sometimes I go to the store shopping, I go, man, I could just walk out with it.
Right.
Even a piece of gum, not lying to you. The other day, I went to eat at IHOP, and they're short on staff.
You could have gotten up.
I could have got up and just leave. But that doesn't come across my mind no more. Sometimes I go, just eat, go do it and get out. But the Holy Spirit still is in me, you know what I mean? God hasn't abandoned me yet.
Yeah. And he won't.
I don't think he ever will.
He won't, bro.
I just need to, like I always tell people, I know we're here on your podcast, but this is a conversation that I have with different people that I still have, that God is still connected with me. And I still praise. I wake up and I pray and I give him thanks for everything. It's just, I'm not living my life right the way God wants me to do it.
Yeah.
And I hope it doesn't get to that point where it's too late either,
Yeah. Dude, so you get into the boxing business. You're super known in the industry. You get to train stars and people that are influential and people that are famous, etc. How did that start happening? Because one of the things, here's the reason I ask, and maybe, I don't know if you've thought about it, how did it start happening? But it seems to me, like, just from knowing your story, and we've been friends for 20 years, and you have favor over your life, bro.
I think
Like,
I think God blessed me with.
God's blessed you with favor. You know, you have a real gift of connecting with people. You have a gift of networking because you're so like you just talk to anybody.
I talk to
anybody.
everybody.
You talk to everybody.
I talked to you two guys when I came in here, and I don't even know them.
Yeah. So, how did that happen?
You know what? Prior to being in the gym, it was thanks to Joe. Joe started training Brad Pitt, and then I started working with Brad Pitt behind the scenes with Joe
for that movie
for Fight Club. It was
Club.
called Fight Club, and it's a funny story with that. That was hilarious because I think God has found favoritism. I think God has favoritism in everybody. I think in everybody's life. I think it's just sometimes you have to acknowledge it, or people choose not to. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I didn't start acknowledging it till years later, but Brad Pitt was the start of everything because I still remember that, and I still remember quite everything perfect. Brad Pitt was training, and then Joe goes, "Hey Ricky, you want to do mitt work with Brad Pitt?" Which I end up doing. And then he was there probably for 2 weeks. And one day Brad Pitt goes, "Hey Ricky, I know they just opened up the Krispy Kremes right there on Van Nuys Boulevard in Sherman Way. You think you could go get me some?" And I did. I brought him. Went to go get him 5 boxes. Because, you know, Krispy Kreme was so hard to find at that time.
Right.
You know, it was so popular.
So there was a Krispy Kreme close by?
It was right here where El Pollo Campero is now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
That was
Yeah, I
Krispy
remember
Kremes.
that, yeah.
That was Krispy Kremes. Sorry. That was Krispy Kremes, and I went, and he kind of liked me ever since. And then prior, he was training for Snatch.
Okay, yeah.
No, but he was training for Snatch, but he already filmed Fight Club. And one day, Brad Pitt tells Joe, "Hey, you think Ricky would like to go to the premiere of Fight Club?" He goes, "Let's ask him." So Joe brings me in and asks me, "Hey, we like to go to the premiere." Well, I go, "What's a premiere?" You know, because I didn't know. I was young, you know. He goes, "Oh, I just filmed this movie, blah, blah, blah." Hell yes, I would like to go. And it's funny that I was a street kid, you know.
Yeah.
And me stealing stuff, Joe knew about my life. And Joe would bring me into his home. He'd let me spend the night with his son. And I always see jewelry and stuff like that. It never crossed my mind to try to steal anything from them. I was a thief, but I never tried to steal anything from them. And I go, "What am I gonna wear, Joe, to the premiere? You know, you say people dress up and all that." So his son, Joe let me borrow a suit that you could see. I have a picture. The suit arms fit me up to my knuckles.
Because Joe's big, bro.
Joe's big. In some way, we tailor the pants and all that. And I went to the premiere and ended up meeting Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler, different actors. And I was starstruck. And then years later, I ended up training Adam Sandler, who you saw your dog to.
Yeah.
And Rob
He adopted my dog, bro.
Oh, he adopted you. Oh, sorry, yeah. He adopted your dog. Wink.
my first bulldog.
Your first bulldog.
Yeah,
He ended up adopting your dog, and you know, I used to go train Adam with Joe at his studio in Sony Studios.
Okay.
Then moving forward, we started getting directors like that filmed The Rock and other movies, and then my biggest hit was Floyd Mayweather. Floyd called me one day. He goes, "Hey Ricky, Justin Bieber's gonna come to the gym. Can you know, have the gym cleared out?" I go, "Oh yeah." So I go there hours before. Excuse me. And clean up the gym, and boom, pulls up Justin Bieber in a Ferrari, and he comes in, and at that time I'm not starstruck anymore, but very low pro. So he goes, "Hey man, can you wrap my hands?" I go, "Yeah, let's do it." We started wrapping his hands, and that day to this day is a talking boxing because I did 18 rounds of mitt work with him. I was tired.
Oh, he had stamina.
Oh, he has some amazing stamina. I don't know how the heck did he kept up. And ever since everything I started blowing up, at that time Instagram had just started getting very popular, and I built up my I had an Instagram page, but my page at that time was very private. I didn't know much about social media at that time. And I started getting people following me. I probably had almost over 1 million followers, and sometimes people would write comments like, "What the heck, man?" I deleted every single one of them. like an idiot.
Because you didn't know.
Yeah, because I didn't know. And then someone told me, why you do that? Then I made it public, and then I gained back to like 54,000 followers. And it's been plateau ever since. Because I never... Look, I like social media, but I post stuff for myself.
Yeah.
And
you never planned for it.
I never planned for it. But Justin Bieber was one of my guys. You know, I had Antoine Fuqua, who directed Training Day, Equalizer 1 and 2. He just finished. He's a good friend of mine now.
Yeah.
He just finished doing Equalizer 3.
You did some YouTubers too, bro.
Oh, I started Jake and Logan Paul, but because of I can't speak to it because I signed at the NDA.
Okay. Yeah,
Because other managers, they ended up leaving me, and then they became one of the biggest stars right now. Jake Paul is cool people.
Yeah.
Fuzi, who kind of embarrassed me, and after that, I didn't want to do nothing to do with boxing anymore. Yeah.
That's funny, dude.
Yeah, man. Life.
Funny. I saw your post a few weeks ago. Mayweather came by again.
Yeah, Mayweather was there last week. He called me at midnight. He likes to work at midnight. He's crazy.
Yeah.
So a lot of fighters.
Does he come with his whole entourage?
Yeah, he comes with his entourage. He comes with at least 15, 20 people.
Yeah, they just take care of him.
Yeah. And it's just,
is he a nice guy?
He's a very cool guy if you get to know him.
Yeah.
It's like anybody. Everybody could be an ass, or it could be arrogant, or it could be just a person that you might feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I could be a person that could be complicated sometimes, because some people, because they see you on social media, they think they know you, and they think they could talk you. But once you talk back to them, they say, "Oh, he's an ass, he's this." Well, I can't defend myself.
Sure.
I always tell people, "Well, you think I'm gonna let you talk trash to me, but I can't defend myself."
Mm-hmm.
So you don't win with these people, you know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're a public person.
Yeah, I don't consider him, because I feel like I'm still Ricky. I don't. People say, "Oh, Ricky, you're famous." I'm not famous, because a famous person, will be a millionaire or have a lot of money. I'm not that type of guy.
Or remodel the house.
Or remodel the house 5 times. That's because you remodeling your house 5 times because you have friends, that are contractors that give you a discount.
Yeah. Sure. Dude, so tell me a little bit about, so you're in the boxing industry, and you have a boxer right now he's from England.
Yeah, Hamza Shiraz. That's my future, God willing, my future world champion. He just got ranked number 5 in the world, and number 5 for the WBA, and number 10 for the WBC, which is the most famous sanctioned body in boxing.
Yeah, when's his next fight?
He just had surgery. We just fought in December. We won a 2nd round knockout. He had surgery on his pinky. Coming back in April. Hopefully by June or July we'll be fighting.
Yeah, bro. And the whole midst of your career and getting to train people that are influential and famous. You're a dad. You have 2 beautiful daughters,
Sadie and Bianca.
How old is Bianca now?
Bianca's gonna turn 28 after my birthday, actually, March 3rd.
So I met Bianca when she was like 8 years old.
You met her, yep.
Yeah. That makes me feel old now.
You're telling me, man, my birthday's tomorrow. I'm gonna be old, 46.
That's not old, bro. Tomorrow's
Mario,
your birthday?
you're young.
Tomorrow's
Mario,
your birthday?
you're 40 years old.
I'm 41, bro.
41, there you go. I'm 46.
I'm catching up. What's been one of the hardest seasons of your life?
The hardest season of my life.
In the midst of everything that you get to do. Because you're
you know what?
You're a hyperactive dude.
Yeah.
You're an entrepreneur. You're a go-getter. Since I've known you, you're always, after something, and you're trying to make stuff happen, and you're not a person that sits and just sits still. You're always, which is probably why you got in trouble when you were a kid so much. You know what I'm saying? But in that, in this thing of who Ricky is and everything you get to do,
what's the hardest?
There's got to be seasons in your life that are dark.
I think it's every day. Be honest with you. I learned something from Joe Goose, and he taught me something. Because Ricky, just because I became Hall of Fame, and because I work TV, or they see me on TV, and because I train a lot of world champions, I made money, he goes. But a lot of people don't know what I go through. Sometimes I'm broke, sometimes I have money, because I'm in the business that I'm in the more people. So you people do know, boxing is one of the grindiest and dirtiest business in the world, and we have me as a trainer have the poorest job that anybody could have. Just so you guys know, it's so tough because we could invest our time years, so many years into one fighter. And remember, we make money at just 10% out of what a fighter makes. And who knows if that fighter's gonna make $1 million, 10 million, or 100,000. Yeah. You invest 10 years and he fights for the first time for 100,000, you get $10,000. You gotta hustle. And I have a hustle mentality that I want to be a successful entrepreneur. Boxing I love it. I enjoy it, and I don't leave it because I love it so much. God has blessed me with something that I cannot give up, I could say, but every day, I just, like Joe, and going back to what Joe says, is, look, Ricky, people think I have a lot of money. I'm broke sometimes, but you know what, Ricky? I'm happy, and I just make it look good. I make things look good too, Mario. A lot of people say, well, he's successful, he's rich. That's not the case. I struggle every day too. I'm going back to this. My daughters, Bianca and Sadie, they live with their mom. I've been separated for going on 13 years. Yeah. But we have a great relationship. I live by myself at home, and they live on their own, but I help them out. But I struggle. Yeah. I struggle every day. I like good things in life as well, but I don't try not to get caught up on, I want to have a Range Rover. I could go get it if I want to. It's gonna make me work triple harder. But at one time I thought, why would I need to try to impress people now? I don't need to do that. Yeah. I drive around my little Volvo and I'm happy. But that's going back to that. I struggle every day, Mario. Don't like I always tell people, don't get it twisted. Since I'm in the boxing world, I have struggles every day, financially. Look, I have you support my barbershop. You've been there since I opened it. Yeah. I like to help a lot of people, and people want people to know that I try to help a lot of barbers, and I did that as an investment. And a lot of barbers left me when the whole COVID thing hit, and also I kind of messed up too because I invested so much money into that barbershop that I want to clean this, clean that. Don't put soda there. Don't put liquid there. Don't put eat on the thing. And I started kind of turning myself into a micromanaging, self-employed barber, which they didn't like. And I learned that the hard way. But you know what? God's still blessing me now that barbershop is picking up back in pace, and I let the barbers do their own thing, and I just have to do what I have to do. Yeah. But yeah, boxing thing, same thing. I struggle. I have Hamza Shiraz. God willing, that's gonna be my first world champion that I built. And yeah, man, it's not easy. It's tough.
And he's from England, but
he's from England, but his family's Pakistani. His family is all Pakistani. He has the blood Pakistani, and one of the most humble, very hardworking kids that I've trained. He brought me back to life from boxing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah, because you had sort of.
I really wanted to part ways from training people. Yeah. Because I invested so many years in fighters that in the end they end up leaving with other trainers, and the other trainers are enjoying the fruits of what I started building. Yeah.
And how do you? So you have a friendly relationship with Tina, your ex-wife. You're a dad. You have 2 daughters. One of them is 28.
28. Bianca is my oldest. That's my baby. She thinks she's not my baby girl.
¿Ya hay algún pirata, bro, por ahí o no? Is there a pirate around?
Nah. She had a boyfriend. She split up, which I go, yes. I saw a meme on TikTok that goes, baby, are you okay? No, Dad. And he goes, I'm sorry, baby. And then he turned around and goes, yes. That's the way I was, because my daughter's an entrepreneur herself. Yeah, she started doing her own nails. She has her own little salon. I tried to help her to have her in my barbershop, but she was being too dependent on me, so I had to be a little bit rough and let her learn the hard way. She went up. She's in Woodland Hills now. She has her own little shop, doing good.
She's hustling. And she learned from you.
She's a hustler.
Yeah.
And I remember I bought her a car. I bought her an Infiniti from one of my friends, and I gave it to her. Really nice leather, paint. A year later, that car broke down, leather's cracked, paint is messed up, engine blew. She didn't know how to take care of it. But I guess sometimes when you give, I go, now you're gonna have to earn yourself and get a car yourself. Yeah. I can't help you. Learn. And I love her. I have to be tough on her because I want her to grind. Same thing applied when I brought her into my barbershop. I told, go ahead, take the office and do nails from there. She'll show up when she wants, like the barbers. She's not making money. I go, I want you to make money. That's the whole point of you doing this. And she goes, Dad, I don't want to be here. Okay. Now she's doing her thing. Now she's paying more money somewhere else. Yeah. And she's grinding. She's working.
Bro, how do you're a Christian. You love the Lord. How do you live out your faith in your life? How do you live out your faith in your industry? Like, for example, you get to be at the fights, you get to travel, you're an entrepreneur, you're doing your thing. How do you live your faith? And how hard is it to live your faith out?
Well, I'm not shy to talk about my faith. Yeah. That's one of the things. I'm not embarrassed because some people, because there are people going to remind me, well, why you believe in Jesus? I mean, why? I like the challenge, because I like to fight. That's one of the main things. I feel like no one can try to put me down because some people that do have faith and believe in God are shy because, especially when they have someone important, question them. Like me, I could sit down right now, I could defend myself in knowing about Christ and Jesus. I'm very limited to what I know because I know, like, I call you sometimes and I have a question. Hey, Mario, so-and-so, what do you think? You know what I mean? Like,
I love your phone calls,
you
bro. They're like the
so
most
random
phone calls. I go, Ricky's calling it. Yeah. Hey, Mario, what's this thing theologically? Think about this. And I'm like, what the?
And, some people get really deep into it, you know what I mean? And I haven't been challenged quite yet to how I'm going to feel if somebody starts questioning me about God. I will share it. And what I believe I could share, Mario, is that how God changed my life and where he has me now. Because I started from a kid from the streets that was in prison, and to be known as one of they call me a trainer to the stars. And being with Joe Goosen and with the Goosen family, with Tom Brown, who's one of the biggest promoters. I'm next to him all the time at the fights. They invite me over to their house. So God has showed me favoritism, I believe, and
you do have favor,
and I have to show and be very grateful to God about it. And I think I have not been 100% grateful to him, but I recognize it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I share this with you, Mario, because it's I'm always straight out with anybody that I talk to. I'm always straightforward, and I don't like to sugarcoat stuff. Yeah. Because I'm a sinner.
Yeah.
And I think
me too.
Yeah. Well, of course, but it's like Mr. T said one time. Mr. T is one of our good friends. He goes, Ricky, I may be a sinner, but I don't practice sinning. And that means, what the fuck? What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
I practice sin, to this day. I ask God for forgiveness, and the next morning I go, God, please forgive me for my sins. And boom, I'm doing my sin. I'm cussing, or I'm swearing.
Yeah.
And I just hope God doesn't erase my name off the book of life because, that morning I asked him for forgiveness, and I'm swearing. I hope that's not the case. You know, but
one of the things, man, thanks for being so open, bro.
Yeah.
So vulnerable. One of the things I like to tell people, and I'll tell you, is when we feel that way, we feel shamed, and shame usually will take us away from God, right? Because we feel like, man, I messed up again.
Yeah.
Like, how can I pray to God? How can I go to church? Or how can I messed up? So we feel ashamed, and shame will always pull you away from God.
Yeah.
Repentance gets you close to God.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I know people that they're so ashamed. They've not even prayed anymore because they're like, why am I gonna pray if
God's gonna
if I've been doing this over and over and over and I'm just ashamed, right? And so shame pulls us from God. Repentance and brings us closer to the Lord. As you're sharing, you feel like, I'm practicing sometimes. I'm practicing sin, and I tell the Lord, forgive me. And, here I am doing it again. And I'm reminded, the Apostle Paul said, the things I want to do, I don't do. And the things I don't want to do, I do.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, I'm a miserable and lost man. And then he asks a question, who can save me from this? And he answers his own question, and he says, thank God that the answer is in Jesus Christ. So I would tell you that, bro. I would tell you, thank God that the answer is in Jesus Christ.
You got tears. You got me teared, man. That thing just hit me, man.
Yeah, because we all do it. It's like, man, I don't want to do that again, God. And then you do it again.
Because to me, the Holy Spirit convicts me.
Yeah.
Like right now, it convicted me, man. It brought tears to my eyes right now. Like I want to cry like a baby, because I am a sinner. I do sin. And
bro, but this is the Apostle Paul, right?
Yeah.
When we read that,
just by reading, I go,
he
man.
wrote more than half the New Testament, and here's a guy saying, "Soy un miserable. ¿Quién me va a salvar de este cuerpo que se está pudriendo?" And then he says, gracias a Dios que la respuesta está en Jesucristo, right? And so, but we all go through it.
Yeah.
Everybody watching us today, we all go through this thing where I don't want to do that, and we do that, and I want to stay away from it, and we do it again. I want to pray more, or I want to seek the Lord more. I want to have a closer relationship with God.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. We do everything that's the opposite.
And that's one of the things that people say, because I could see it, and I never want to compare myself. Well, he does it, it's okay. And well, everybody does it. I don't want to be one of those persons, what I mean? I don't want to be one of, everybody does it. No, everybody has their time with God, I believe in. And I just don't ever want to compare myself to everybody or doing that, or people saying that, because if they say everybody does it, it's okay. Everybody's gonna go to hell, I'm gonna go to hell. No, you can't think like that.
Yeah, we look for ways to justify.
Correct.
Our
And I never want to be able to. I don't want to be one of those persons that want to justify. I know that I'm a sinner. I know I'm living in sin. God still has favoritism in me. I think God would humble me one of these days, more than what he has, because I've been humble from God. And like anything, when you're in jail, you go to jail, God, please forgive me, get me out of this situation, and God gets you out. And guess what happened? You go back and doing the same thing.
What's maybe one of the most valuable lessons you learned while you were in jail?
They were going to give me 24 years to life. That it was going to take, first of all, lose my daughter, Bianca and Tina. When I still remember that she didn't even drive at the time, and I still remember that she would go. I had a car at that time. I had just got a brand new Nissan Maxima, and I remember, and I let my friend keep that car and let Tina walk to the bus stop, go to work, and every week I had money on my books. And when they told me that they were gonna give me 24 to life and then deport me, it made me like, what am I gonna do, God? Please help me out. Please help me. It's like anything. When people hit jail, that's when they seek God. They look for God. And I think it's a good and a bad thing. It's a bad thing if you gonna keep doing and living a life. It's a good thing because God is seeking your attention some way, somehow. God is, like I always tell people, God doesn't want the bad, but doesn't want bad things for us to. God is not gonna cause bad things in our lives to happen to us or get hurt, but He's gonna cause something to get your attention, to say, God, I need you, because we need God every day. Mm-hmm. I need God every day. I need God now. Yeah. But we choose, because we're in this worldly world that Satan's in control of, I believe. You know, well, I mean, I know he's in control. It's just a matter of time that God is going to intervene and say, hey, this is it. I got to help my people or take my people away.
But there are some things that we cause.
There's things that we cause in our lives. Like, you know, I said to myself, God, help me out in this situation. Guess what happened? When they were going to deport me, I did 2 years in the federal prison for transporting drugs. I was trying to be one of those narcos, and, you know, I did good, but not good enough. That it was going to take my family away and my freedom. I fought my case for 2 years. Going back to Joe Goosen, writing me nice letters to the judge. Other people, fans, celebrities writing letters to the judge. And once I went in front of the judge, he goes, I don't understand all these people vouching for you. What kind of value do you have by you doing what you're doing there? I don't understand. That helped a lot, but I think God had favoritism to that day.
Yeah.
I think I've been, like I told you earlier, I think God has favoritism in each one of us. It's just how we choose to what we're gonna do or how we're gonna grind to it. You have favoritism, Mario, on what you're doing and preaching at Church on the Way. I always think of you. God has blessed me to this day. I'm not saying just, but He blesses me financially to support what I need to live amongst my means. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes I say I want to be a multi-millionaire, but I think God hasn't put me in that position because I don't think I'm ready for it. Because I think it'll keep me away from Him in reality. You know what I mean?
I want to be a multi-millionaire too.
No, I think we all do, but I think money changes people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I come across a lot of millionaires and some billionaires in my gym and friends that I know, and they just have different thoughts. You know, that was the most thing that I think. When they told me that I was gonna be separated from my family,
that shook you.
I go, man. I got out of prison, and guess what happened? Still, I started going back and forth, fighting, going to jail, petty stuff. Oh, that was one of them, and the last one was in 2014. You know, Joe came back into the boxing game. He was working with this fighter. And I grew up in the gym, cleaning the gym, because I didn't have money.
Right.
So some kids were training at my gym. I go, hey, if you don't have money, you gotta clean the gym. One day, out of nowhere, one of them came and said, hey, we're not no nigger slaves. I go, what do you mean? I go, bro, dude, don't say that. I got a lot of black friends. I used to clean the gym myself. My nephew is a professional fighter. He cleans the gym to this day. He goes, well, we're not no niggers, slaves. We're not gonna clean the gym. And I go, you know what? Get out my gym. And somehow one brother came in, and the other, and the dad, and another friend. It was 4 of them against me, and I go, man, I was so hot. I go, what are we gonna do? So I ran to my car and I got my gun. And this is a crazy story, Mario, because as soon as I grabbed my gun, I felt like Satan got it. I just blanked. And I ran back inside my gym. You've been to my gym from the back of my parking lot. I ran back inside and I clocked my gun and I was gonna shoot that guy. I was not gonna kill him, I was gonna shoot him on the leg. And right when I was about to shoot him on the leg, one of the brothers just grabbed my hand. I go, oh man, well now he's gonna take the gun from me. And we're wrestling and I let one bullet go on the under the ring. And once I let that go, Mario, boom, I woke up. I go, snap. What did I do? You know what I mean? I was like paranoid. I go, what did I do? And I went to put my gun away and I went to apologize to the guy. I go, hey, you know, I'm sorry. Let's just fight, you and I. And nope, he called the cops. So I left. I came to my house. I still remember I left to my house. I called my lawyer and I go, Mike, it was one of the Goosens. They have 2 lawyers in the family. And I go, Mike, you know, this is what happened. I got in a scuffle and I pulled a gun and I didn't hit nobody, but I let one bullet go. He goes, Ricky, there's nothing you could do until they arrest you. So I went to my house, did my thing, got everything out, and then normally the cops are coming to your house at 5 in the morning. No, at 10 o'clock they were surrounded. Helicopters, everything. It was the most embarrassing time. At that time, for try to self-defend myself, they were gonna give me 13 years.
Wow.
And I was fighting my case for a whole year. I got bailed out. You know, same thing. I asked God. You know, everybody, God is God. You need God when you're in trouble.
Right.
Even the atheists, people that don't believe in God, ask for God when they're in trouble.
Right.
Yeah. So that's one of the other things too that changed my life. You know, I was gonna lose everything, my businesses, and you know, but
2014, you went to jail.
Yeah,
How long were you
I
there?
spent 6 months in
I remember that.
Supermax. Yeah,
I remember
they
that.
had me in Supermax, and they moved me to Medium South, up in Valencia. And then I haven't gotten in trouble. Oh, I did actually, kind of. I got in a street fight, but it wasn't big. This guy tried to scuffle me, and I got in a fight. Can I tell you the story real quick?
Yeah, bro, tell me.
So I go, I think you're the only one that's been here. So we started kind of arguing. He goes, what are you saying? You calling me a thief? I go, yeah, I think you stole my wallet. And he stood up in a position where like he wanted to fight him. Boom, I threw a right hand. He fell so hard. He fell hard. I got scared, and then my daughter's, Dad, no, Dad. And he gets back up like stumbling, and he pulls out his pepper spray, and he starts shaking it. And before he starts trying to put it on, boom, I hit him one more time. He fell, and give me that. I took the pepper spray. And I'm going crazy, still looking for my wallet. And I go, Dad, he's gonna call the cops. Like, well, I don't care. Let him call the cops. It was self-defense. I always get in trouble for defending myself. So I'm looking for my wallet. I go, I know you have my wallet in your car. I started accusing him, and it was the wrong thing to do at that time. So the cops come, and I go, look, officer, I apologize, but you know, he stood up in a position where I felt like I was in threat. I think he stole my wallet, and I'm right behind where you order your ticket. And she goes, did you say you lost your wallet? She goes, yeah, did you see a wallet? She goes, is it this one? Like this. Yes, that's my wallet. And they handcuffed me and they took me to jail. And that's it. I haven't got in trouble. I do get hard-headed sometimes because I just don't like being disrespected in any way. And I show respect to everybody. I don't care if you're a janitor. Like I go to Galpin, you've been to Galpin. I go to Galpin, they treat me like a king there. I treat the janitor, I shake everybody's hands, Mario. God has taught me to be very humble. You know me, I like to help people that are unfortunate. Sometimes more unfortunate than I am. You know, God has blessed me.
I've seen that I've seen that in your life. You're very generous.
Yeah, I like to help people, you know, whatever I can. If I see a homeless, I just don't like when a homeless asks me for money. Yeah. I'd rather buy them food or go with them and buy them something.
Well, and then I do want to say publicly, like I've thanked you several times, but years ago, we only had one car. Me and my wife.
That was my favorite car,
and man. I remember you called me. He goes, hey, come to my house. And you gave me a Nissan Maxima. A Nissan Maxima.
That's one of my favorite cars.
Yeah, man. And that was
you sold it, Mario. I know you didn't.
Bro.
Just kidding.
I swear. I gave it to my parents. But yeah, bro, that was a big blessing for us.
Well,
and, I have seen in your life that you've been generous. You're a generous person.
Down.
And I just you know, going back to Siéntate, chico.
Sit down.
Going back to what I was saying earlier, there's a lot of favor in your life, dude. And so I just want to encourage you, dude.
Thank you, Mario.
That that the Lord is with you, that God's taking care of you in the most difficult seasons of your life.
It's tough, man. Every season is tough, but I'm there. You know, you've been going through my gym to my barbershop when you supported my gym. You sent people, and you know, I'm very grateful, Mario. You know, I don't do it, and I don't try not to brag to people. Oh, I buy them this, or I give them the car, cause I see people that do that. Oh, look, I give him that. I still remember you brought that up. I would never bring that up, but you brought it up. I gave you the car to my heart. Me and Tina decided to give you the car because, you know, it was in our heart.
We needed a car, and you blessed us, bro.
You know.
And that was amazing.
That was one of my favorite cars, Mario. I still have it.
It was it a 95, 96?
It was a 98. That was a 98. It's my first car I ever got. I still remember with Tina, our first car was a 87 Nissan Maxima.
Yeah.
And I fell in love. And then my second one was a 1992. And then my first real brand new one was a 1996. Black on black. And then the 1999 when they barely came out.
Dude, I've been wanting to ask you this question. With all the people you get to hang out with, have you ever had a chance to share your faith?
All the time. I share them. Sometimes they don't want to hear it. And I just cut it short because I don't want to push it on them, you know?
So you have had a chance to share your faith?
Yeah, I share it all the time. Actually, I'm sharing I have a podcast called Tengu's Boxing Talks.
Tengu's Boxing Talks.
Yeah, it's called Tengu's Boxing on YouTube, but it's Tengu's Boxing Talks. I'm having different people on my podcast, but I'm having a Christian guy named Rob Jizzy from Arizona. He's coming to talk to me for the first time on, and he's gonna share his faith. But see, my podcast is gonna be talking about like life. I'm gonna talk to people about their life and their beliefs and their experience and so forth. You know?
Yeah.
So,
bro, thanks, man.
Thank you, Mario, for having me on.
Let's do it again. Let's do part 2 soon.
Let's do it. When we got what kind of stories? I have to have some great stories, man.
You
probably basically took everything. Oh, I got a lot of stories to tell.
You brought some great stories.
I went from the back to the middle and back, future, back.
Well, tell me another one, bro.
No, you're gonna have to say that one for the second part, because we could be here all night.
Next time we gotta do one at the gym.
We'll go to do it at my podcast.
For real.
Just we have to use our cameras, and then I'll give you my stick.
All right, bro. Thanks,
Perfect.
man.
Thank you,
Bless
Mario.
you, bro.